Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. I am apparently your host, Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. It's so good to be with you on this Hump Day. Hump Day. Mike. It's good to have you guys with me. I don't know. I'm checking my watch. I can't seem to find my co-host. If any of you are in the know as it pertains to where Jay Spence might be running along at this evening. He's having some technical difficulties. I don't envy him. He popped on about 15 minutes ago while we were backstage, if you will, and then popped right back out again. I got a message from him that said, you might just want to go ahead and start. So if you came into this show looking to hear from Jay Spence and hear about all the way he's wrong, I got nothing for you. Now, if you came to this show to hear about all the reasons I'm right all the time, mad love, yo. Mad love for all of y'all. But we are going to get started. So this is what I want to do. I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit because I had a plan, or we had a plan as far as coming into the show. And inside of that plan was, clearly we're going to talk about Tre White, right? So there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good content coming out. So there's just news, if you will. Like there's actual player interviews going on. They're not practicing yet, but they're actually at practice. I'm wrong already. I gotta put that up. Oh, my man. My guy, Jay Spence. Dude, I think I like this vantage point because this way you can't overtalk me. This way it's just it's just a situation where I can put you on if I want. If you agree with me, I can put you on. And if you don't agree with me, then I can just kind of leave you silent in the comments. But this is the Hump Day Hotline. I'm your host, Joe Miller, or one of your hosts. I'm currently the host of the Hump Day Hotline. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. This is what I want to do, though. So shifting gears a little bit, we're going to talk about Tre. And I put out on Twitter a couple hours ago that I think that Tre is going to opt out. And I don't want to have that discussion, that debate until Jay Spence gets in the house. But this is what I want to do. This is the question. I'm going to try to drive while I'm doing this. So, cut me some slack. I'm not Rico. Rico's been doing this a long time. But I want you to look at that question. If Tre opts out of the 2020 NFL season, what does the Buffalo Bills 2020 defense look like? And what I'm looking for from you guys is basically realistic expectations. Now, clearly, we know that Josh Norman is going to be on one side. Right now, it looks like Levi Wallace is slated to be on the other side, unless one of them opts out, right? So I guess the question is I want to know from you guys what you think this defense looks like, and I'm going to do the best I can to keep up with you. John says, don't freak out yet. If he opts out, it's going to be all right. And, that's what's interesting. That's a great point, John. And the reason that is a great point is because we were the number 2 defense last year. And we were the number 2 defense partly because Tre White was our starting number 1 cornerback. And the reality is Tre White is, in my opinion, he's a top 10 player in the NFL, regardless of what the top 100 players say. And that put us with him, but he's a piece of that defense, right? Along with Poyer and Hyde, and Levi was on the other side. I think that this defense can probably live in that top 10 space. So 8, 9, 10, maybe without Tre. The question is, can they, how far up can they get, or how far will they drop if Tre is not there? This is an interesting point. Be Lightning. It'll look like the offense will have to score 27 plus points a game. That's another great point. That is another great point. The reality is this, and there's been a lot of conversation. There was a lot of conversation last week in the barbershop. 19 points a game is just not going to cut it. We're going to have to do better as a football team than 19 points a game. Jay Spence is queued up. I see his ugly mug. I wonder if he can hear me. He's coming, y'all. He's coming for me. But the reality is the Bills are going to have to score more than 29 points a game. It's just a fact. Or I'm sorry, more than 19 points a game. If they can get into that 25 to 29 point range, Tre not being here is going to hurt, but it's not going to be a situation where, all is lost and we're writing off the season. So this is how this whole thing works. So we are live. I wish, and Jay Spence is, I know he's working behind the scenes, not right now, but has been over the last couple weeks, trying to figure out a way to get you guys on live with us via phone call. We can't do that yet, but you can chat with us, whether you are watching us on Facebook, whether you're watching us on Twitter through Periscope, or you're watching us on YouTube live right now. All you got to do is chat at us, and we're going to respond to you if your question, comment, point is relevant. This is kind of the cool part. Super chatters, as they call them, get priority. Well, what is a super chatter? Well, a super chatter is somebody that's on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube on your phone, you're going to have a hard time chatting with us. You're going to get to see it. You're going to get to hear it, but you're not necessarily going to be able to take in the show. I'm guessing you need me to add you to the stream. Is that what's going on here? Maybe not. You won't be able to chat with us via your phone, but if you get on a laptop, something like that, you'll be able to chat with us. The reality is this, though. If you super chat, you're going to get priority. We're going to see it. It's going to get my attention, and I'm going to be. And tonight, especially, if you want to get my attention tonight, especially if I fly this thing solo all by myself for the next 54 minutes, you're going to need to super chat me because I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. Those of you that know me, those of you that listen to the Overreaction podcast, I'm chatty. I can talk. I do this thing on my own all the time. And when I get to ranting and I get a little bit overreacting and I get a little bit emotional, I get to going. So if you want my attention tonight, and Jay Spence, until he gets here, you're going to have to super chat me. Ryan says, Ryan Thiel became a YouTube member. Ryan, thank you so much. I wish I had the bell. Bing, biggity, bing, as Rico would say. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Talk away, big fella. John, you're becoming my favorite. Already, you're becoming my favorite. Let's see what this is. What's the ramification? Rocky says, what's the ramification when it comes to free agency? Does he still become a free agent after the year or no? Bill should just stop messing around and sign him to a long-term deal. Per numbers, he's the number one DB in the game, even though Gilmore gets all the hype. Rocky, you're all over it. And I got answers for you. So if you get a chance, first of all, go back and check the interview that Tre did today. It's on YouTube. It's on radio.com. It's all over the place. You can find it. He addresses, I'm going to address the second part first. He addresses basically his looming contract status. He basically says, you know what? I'm not in a hurry. He said, Tre loves Buffalo. Tre loves this football team. Tre loves this city. The reality is he's not in a hurry, and he's leaving it in his agent's hands. And the way that he stated it, and this is the answer to your question, the second part of your question, the way that he stated it was, when it works out, it'll work out, which means that if it works out early, it works out early. If it works out late, it works out late. He's not in a rush. I'm impressed, more beyond impressed from what I see from Tre'Davious White. And the reason that I'm impressed with Tre'Davious White is simply because this is a young man. He's a family man. He's an intelligent man. One of the things he said was, I'm not in any financial trouble. He said, I'm good with my finances, so I'm not worried about a new contract at this point. He said, I know, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, I know that I'm basically one of the best in the league, and I know what that means to my family, and it's going to mean generational wealth. That was the word that he used, or the phrase that he used twice, generational wealth. And he's dead on right. So, answer to the second part of your question. They're not working on it yet. It's not a big rush to work on it. Tre's not in a rush. I don't know that the Bills are in a rush, but obviously there's some common ground there that they want to get something done. First part of your question, what happens with any player that opts out of the 2020 season before tomorrow? So the deadline is tomorrow, Thursday. Any player that opts out of the 2020 season, everything gets pushed back a year. So if Tre opts out tomorrow, we hear sometime between now and I think it's 4:00 tomorrow afternoon Eastern Standard Time that Tre has opted out of the 2020 season. That 2020 season doesn't exist in his contract, doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form. He's basically, everything is a push. So his fourth year, which is now 2021. His fifth year option is 2022. And then basically the Bills can franchise tag him in 2023. So it pushes the whole thing back. Thanks for the question. I appreciate that. What else we got here? Super humble, very intelligent. Steven, dude, I was overwhelmingly impressed by, and I've taken in some Tre'Davious White interviews before, and this one was just down to earth. it spoke volumes to me as it pertains to my opinion as to why I think he's going to opt out of this season. And I'll get into that if we do get Jay Spence on the show. Chris says, I wouldn't compare Tre White's situation in Buffalo to Jamal Adams' situation in New York. They're not even close. The Bills, for one, are a winning organization. They're not a dumpster fire. Two, Jamal wanted out, and Tre a month ago tweeted, how amazing would it be to win a Super Bowl for the 716. So yeah, this is not the same situation. That's why I think he plays. He's not going to want to wait a year. That depends. When you're talking about these guys, so there's two different kinds of NFL players, in my opinion. There's guys that come in and live the life, buy mansions, buy Bentleys, crazy cars, depreciating assets. They buy things that they shouldn't be buying. They don't take great advice. The reality is, and I'm sure you've seen the documentaries that, even though we see a player sign for $20 million or $40 million, the amount of money that they actually come home with after paying the agent, after paying taxes, is a lot less. And they light that money on fire. And then you've got the complete opposite guys like Rob Gronkowski. Rob basically has come out and said, I haven't spent a dime of an NFL contract that contracted money. Every dime I've spent has been endorsement money. So every dime that Rob Gronkowski has is in the bank still. Pierre Kingpin coming in with the super chat. Losing Tre will hurt. Will be a crippling loss. Jay Spence, you need me to add you in? Is this what we're doing?
Yeah, we're going to be doing this.
So am I driving tonight? Am I driving?
Yeah.
Rough. Dude, we'll give it a shot. So Pierre Kingpin with a super chat. So this is what a super chat looks like for those of you that are rookies to the show. Basically, losing Tre will hurt. It will be a crippling loss. What, Jay Spence, you're just joining me. I don't know how much of what I've been talking about you've heard up till now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked about him opting out or opting in. We basically just talked about the question I posed is scrolling at the bottom. If he opts out, what does the 2020 defense look like? What are your thoughts? Do you think that it'll be crippling if we lose Tre this season, or is this system what we think the system is?
Well, I think it depends on obviously what Brandon Beane does. There's still options in a way outside of the organization that we could bring in if we needed to bring in a free agent. So in that sense, no. But let's just say hypothetically we can't bring anybody in, and it's like, okay, Tre's gone. What are we going to do? And we're stuck with Norman, and I don't want to say stuck with like they're not good, right. If we're stuck with what we have on the roster, then yeah, no, I actually feel like we're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, no, and so before you got here, what I said was, for me, you're talking about the number 2 pass defense in the NFL. The number 1 pass defense in the NFL was the New England Patriots. Tre'davious White is a big piece of that. Tre'davious White, in my opinion, I think you'll agree, is a top 10 NFL player. Regardless of what the top 100 says, he's a top 10 NFL player. With him being a top 10 NFL player, you can't replace a Tre'davious White. But the reality is, in my opinion, without Tre, with this system, with the rest of the team around him, and Josh Norman coming in, there's a chance this defense could still be top 10, top 8, 9, 10. So I don't think it's a situation of like the season's over. Will the offense have to score more points? Yes,
absolutely.
But the reality is the offense needs to score more points anyway. Like that's a foregone conclusion. They've got to score more points. Period.
Right.
Regardless, Tre White or no Tre White. So yeah, Davion Price. Thanks for the super chat, bro. Say it all the time. Best show on YouTube. Somebody else is driving. Are you driving?
I'm driving.
Oh, I thought you didn't have any control tonight. Gotcha. Okay.
No, it's just every other part. It's just every other part, man.
That's funny. Well, I'm glad you're here. It's lonely. I was Mr. Lonely.
Well, I'm happy to see you. I can say that.
Yeah, dude, you and I haven't chatted much this week. We've kind of been...
No, we haven't. We've both been busy.
Yeah, I've been buried at work. It's just one of those things. So, but I got a margarita going, so I'm good now. And you're here. So margarita, you, Buffalo Bills talk, and content. We actually have Bills content to talk about.
We do.
I'm
so excited.
There's player interviews and coaching interviews, and players are getting hurt. It's like, holy crap, There's something to talk about. This is amazing. So, yeah.
It's a good time. We actually, I can't imagine what it's going to be like in 4 weeks.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
I'm on record, and Pierre's in the house. I'm on record with at least with Jay Spence behind the scenes. If the season doesn't happen, y'all might not see Joe Miller till next year. I don't know. I can't. Bruce Nolan said it best in his podcast last week. He said, we're at the point where we no longer have to, as content creators, have to make up stories and make up stuff to talk about. Like we're at the seasons, it's happening. For all that to just go away, man, I can't do it for a year, guys. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Zach says Tre White on his team makes us drop out of the top 5 on defense. Maybe
for
top
sure.
10.
For sure. I agree with that. I agree with that. So
because at that point when you take, because what Tre White does, he blankets one side of the field basically. And I know he gets a little bit of criticism because he doesn't quote unquote follow their best player normally, but he completely shuts down whatever side of the field that they're going to put him on that Sunday. He shuts it down, and then the other guys on defense can worry about that side of the field. So when you take that out, and then you have to stretch the defense to cover the entire field, that it definitely drops you out of the top 5. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be the potential of this is a potentially magical season for the Buffalo Bills. Matt Milano, 1 more year. Tremaine Edmonds, 1 more year. Like, there's a lot of reasons that we want to see Tre'Davious White on the field. Josh Norman maybe returning to some form of what he had when he was in Carolina in this McDermott defense. Like, there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful. Brian Bowers, thank you so much for the super chat. You want to read that?
He said, like he said on Twitter earlier, Brian Anthony on Twitter, just so you can follow him if you if you don't. But losing Tre would definitely hurt. You don't just replace a shutdown corner easily, period. So that's what we just said. Now there are options, and I was trying to pull that up now so you can keep going so we can have that full discussion. But I do want to bring up the other options that we could do just in case Tre does opt out.
Do you want to start there? Or do you want to, I mean, it's kind of a sweet transition as far as just to stay right there and then maybe move, or do you want to move to whether or not, just my opinion as far as opting out, him opting out?
We can start off with the opinion, and then, cause there's a couple pieces I wanted to put together cause I want to win tonight. I don't want to just debate.
The problem tonight is I'm going to be pulling on your heartstrings. So this is literally going to be, this is going to be dad talk. Like, this is going to be, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. I'm gonna talk nice and smooth into the microphone. But
see, I don't know if it's gonna be like tugging at my heartstrings though. I think I agree. I see the reason why you say you think he's gonna opt out, and I'm sure once you explain it, here, I'm sure I'll agree with you publicly. But the thing is, so the contract situation. He mentioned today. That he wants to be able to set up generational wealth for his family, and money is a big deal. The thing is, if we ended up pushing this back, and you obviously push his salary back for another 2 years, it's going to put a stop on the extension that he's looking to get earlier.
Sure.
Like, he's going to get the extension. Don't get me wrong, Bills fans. He's going to get that extension for sure.
All the Pagula bucks, as Greg Thompson said, all the Pagula bucks.
Yeah. But what he's doing with doing that, you're pushing all that out a year. So there's no financial benefit currently for him to do that. Yeah. So if the financial part is the reason, then he's playing. If family is way more important, which I think it is, which I think you're going to say, I could absolutely see him opting out.
So let's do this. Let me break this down for you. And then you can, if you need to take some mental notes, and just kind of build your case on why you think I'm potentially incorrect. And I could be. I'm just going off of, one of my jobs in life is to listen to people and kind of see through the noise and see through the shade that they're trying to throw people, right? That's effectively like what I do for a living, kind of provides me that opportunity. More importantly than that, when you're talking about a family dynamic, he said some very key things. And I'm not saying that there's only 2 types of families in the world. There's many types of families in the world. But the 2 most contrasted types of family in the world, in my opinion, are the people who, like the Christmas song says, and I can't wait for the kids to go back to school. There's certain families out there that inside of their family dynamic, they love their kids. It's not a situation of not loving your kids, not loving your family, not wanting to be around your kids. But there's a measure of, for people with kids, one side of it is, man, I just can't wait for summer break to end. I just need, if summer break would just end, I can get back to sanity. I can get back to like normalcy. The kids will be back in school, blah, 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 blah. And it's not a situation of, in my opinion, that like people don't like their kids. It's just a wiring thing for people, and it's not wrong. So don't get the wrong idea. The opposite side of that is literally the space, and don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. I'm not bragging. That my wife and I live in with our two girls. We are a very close-knit family unit, and it's not an unhealthy family unit where like they don't have any friends and they don't go spend the night. They don't go spend the night at people's houses. It's just a situation like I don't understand. The worst day of the year for me is the day school starts again. Like I can't. It's difficult for me to be away from my if somebody. So for those of you that don't know my story, and I know Jay Spence does, and some of you do, I was a recording artist. I used to tour before I had kids. Before I got married, I was touring. If I got a call tomorrow and somebody said, "Hey, we're putting a band together. They need a front man. We want you to go out on the road for the next 6 months or 3 months, whatever, blah blah blah. We're going to pay you $1 million to do it." I wouldn't go. And the reason I wouldn't go is because I can't not see my girls for 4 days, 3 days. I mean, 2 days is tough. 3 days, 4 days, a week, weeks. There's no world you've got me not seeing my girls in the morning for weeks. Beth and I, my wife's name is Beth. We make jokes. Like our marriage is really good, but we've made jokes in the past, or at least I've made jokes with her. Look, if something ever happens in our relationship and we get divorced, we're buying a split level home. Because there's no way I'm not seeing my girls every single day. Like we might be divorced. You're living upstairs or I'm living upstairs and you're living downstairs. But the reality is I'm seeing my kids every day. And Tre, when he spoke today, one of the things I picked up on when he talked about like, man, it's just been great for the last 4 or 6 months to wake up and like get my kids ready and like bathe them or just make them breakfast or get them dressed and ready for the day. He talked about his mom. Like seeing his mom every single day. And the reality is these guys sacrifice. He used the word sacrifice. He understands in his head, I'm sacrificing 10 years right now because I know that generational wealth, I'm going to have my money set up so that I can spend the next 40 years of my life enjoying my family. But where this all kind of ties up is in the second part of that conversation for him, which is, he said, I'm afraid to bring it home to my kids and make my kids suffer. I don't want to be in a situation where I can't. So in his mind, him and his wife, his old lady, as he called her, they've already started the negotiation. Is she going to stay in where is he from? Louisiana? Is she going to stay in Louisiana? Yep. And then he's not going to see his kids for 6 months because he referenced that 5, 6 months. There's no way that's happening. And then he said the other side. So wait, so now my wife, my old lady is going to be home and she's not going to see her family and I'm not going to see my family, my extended family for 6 months. Like, dude, this is weighing on him. And then the last piece of that puzzle was the financial piece that I was talking about a second ago. He's not in financial trouble. Like, He's not in any financial trouble at all. So he's not in a situation where he needs the millions. Like, if he pushes that money, his skill level is not going to go down. Like, this team is still going to need him. The money's going to be there when he's ready for it. So I think he opts out, and I can't blame him. Like, does my heart hurt? You better believe it, because to me, this is the culmination of a special year going even into next year, like building year on year on year on, or year after year. But I can't see him. I think family just means too much to him, dude. And I love it. Like, I love that about, like, I was terribly impressed with him today. Terribly impressed with that man today. Mm-hmm. That's what I got. So I think he opts out. We'll know by 4:00 tomorrow, but I think he opts out.
Yeah, no, I mean, so everything you said is completely valid. I mean, I just moved to Arizona, for everybody who doesn't know. I'm sure everybody does know. But I mean, already I miss my mom. I miss my grandfather. Like you don't understand how much I miss my family. Oh, yeah. So I completely understand the aspect of this whole situation that Tre White's family needs to come first. The only way I look at, I guess, and I could just be trying to simplify it way too much. The way I look at it is that, you know, he's there. You get what I'm saying? Like, if he wasn't already ready to travel, if he wasn't already ready to make that commitment, or at least if he wasn't 1 foot in, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out type deal, he's there. Kind of what Stefan Diggs said today. He's like, well, I'm here. You know, the thing is tomorrow, you know, I'm kind of bought in. I'm here. So it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, these guys are already there. They're getting ready for the year. And whatever discussions are happening at One Bills Drive and around the league obviously are happening. But again, he's there. And I just feel that honestly, if Tre was if he was gonna opt out, I just feel like he would have. A lot of the things that he said, I absolutely resonate with. But I just at the same time, I do also I also pay attention to him every day on Twitter and every day on Instagram and stuff, and the way he talks and the things that he's hungry for. I just think the Buffalo Bills have this season, which is why it's such a hard decision. So
for sure,
you got to put it in perspective. So this year, the Bills really have the opportunity to do something that we haven't done ever. We actually could be a really good team this year and make some things happen. And Tre really could be the best cornerback in the league this year and make some things happen. Yep. So you have to weigh those two things. So personally, I do think that he opts in and plays. I think that he'll figure out something to have his family closer, even if it's not like his entire family, his kids and his wife.
No, the reality is he's got the competitive fire. The fire is there. And the best part about Tre, and this, as much as, and I listened to your podcast, for those of you that don't know, Jay Spence the King. You can find Jay Spence at Jay Spence the King on Twitter. He's the host of the Code of Conduct podcast. His pod dropped this morning. If you haven't listened to it, you need to. To your point, when you were talking to the dude from Carolina today, just about the fact that, and he said it, Cam's a sore loser. And that's what I love about Tre. Tre has that competitive fire, but there's a funness to him. There's a jovialness to him. There's when he's down, he's down, and he doesn't like to lose, but when he's up, and it's not super showboaty. Yes, I've commented on the Dallas game last year when they were kind of making fun of Dak. That competitive fire there. I think that literally the conversation tonight, right now, Tre White is not listening to this YouTube live, but I guarantee you they're sitting around their dinner table, and him and his wife are having a heart-to-heart. Baby, am I sending you back to Louisiana and not seeing you for 6 months, or am I going to put our kids at risk for the next 6 months because I can't not see my girls or my kids? I can't not see them. So this is literally a conversation of, am I sending them away and I can't live without them, or am I keeping you here and potentially putting them in danger? Now, where you fall on the COVID spectrum, I don't care. The reality is people have young kids, and what they're dealing with is the idea of losing their child to a virus that has no cure. Whether or not, wherever you fall, that's the reality that some people are living with, and that's the reality he's living with. I want him to play. I just don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, I'm at the place where obviously I want him to play. I want everybody to play. But if the league decided, you know what, this year just isn't the best thing to do as far as safety for players, as much as I would hate it, I would be on board, because the safety of players and their families absolutely matter. If you think, it sucks now not having a year, imagine what happens if, they try to force a year and then everything goes really bad. And then we don't have a season for so it could really turn bad. So what I'm saying is, fans, we have to be realistic in what this is. This is a job for them. I get it. It's a sports outlet for us where we get our escape from the world, and we're so dedicated to our teams and all that stuff.
Yep.
But this is real life for these guys. So, all of the comments on Twitter today really had me I was really disappointed with a lot of people, because I just wouldn't imagine, especially Tre. I mean, like you just mentioned, he's so jovial. The energy that he brings to the city of Buffalo and that franchise, it makes you, if you didn't love the Buffalo Bills, it makes you want to love the Bills. You can't not love the Bills after watching Tre White.
Yeah, and I'll literally sit in this seat and tell you, I haven't said this to anybody, but this, and I'll scare the hell out of you. This is what scares me. The NFL is not Major League Baseball, is not the NBA, is not the NHL. If a team like the Marlins, or no, was it the Marlins or the Cardinals, ends up with 10, 12, 14 players who contract COVID, there is no postponing the game. I saw on Twitter, somebody actually tweeted, and I was like, that's brilliant. They should have built in a second bye week in like week 14 or week 15, where every team had that week off, and it amounted to a makeup week. So like if there were teams that, like, if a game had to be postponed, they could play it. Because the reality is, if two teams, like we have right now in Major League Baseball, end up with 14 guys with COVID, and they're like the entire quarterback room, right? So the Bills have no quarterbacks. Josh Allen's got it. Barkley's got it. Fromm's got it. Who's the fourth guy? Regardless, whoever the fourth guy is, there's a fourth guy. There's a fourth guy in the room. They have no quarterback. So like the Bills can't play football. The season's over. If that happens for two teams at the same time, done. The season's over. Like there's no postponing. There's no like rescheduling games. There's no rainouts. It's not like I said, Major League Baseball where they can just fit it in on a Tuesday when neither team are playing. That's my biggest fear. Like that is legit my biggest fear as far as what's going to happen this season. So we're not out of the woods by any stretch.
Yeah, no, not by any stretch of the mean. Like, and I agree with you. My fear is that, even if one person catches it and is asymptomatic, and then, like you said, it just runs through an organization. And I'm telling you, the other thing is too, like you said, the NBA or the NFL is not the NBA or the MLB. If a specific level of player or a certain caliber of player catches COVID-19, the league is shut down. I'm just telling you, this is not where a player catches it. If you get somebody on the level of like Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes, like if you get somebody to contract this virus, the league is done for the year. I'm just telling you guys.
For sure. I want to address this real quick. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I'm not going to like slam anybody. So Elliot, I love this. I love what you just said. And I love it because it just gets the opportunity to talk about something. So we have a platform, and Jay Spence and I have gotten in trouble before for talking about race stuff. But we've been given a platform. So there's times when we have to talk about things. I am what I consider myself an independent conservative. So I don't believe the Republican Party necessarily fits me anymore. I'm not going to get into politics, so don't get the wrong idea. This is what I'm going to tell you. My sister-in-law is a traveling nurse. For the better part of the last 10 years, she has been in California. She was in New York City, March, April, and May when COVID was at its height. She is now in Texas. She has seen more people. She would call my sister, because she's my sister's sister. She would call my sister crying on the phone. I've never seen so many people die in my life in one day. Like, COVID is real. Here's the thing. If you're going to divide the population of the United States as it pertains to COVID, and when you're thinking about politics and the election, I'll start here and I'll tell you this. One of my best friends is an ER doctor. He runs the ER, one of the ERs here in town. And he said to me in March, we're in trouble. And the reason we're in trouble is because this thing is no longer in the hands of the doctors. It's now in the hands of the politicians and the media. So there's an aspect of stuff that's going on that's not necessarily being controlled by the people it should be controlled by, doctors and scientists. However, 10% of the population are extreme to one side. Like COVID is the scariest thing ever. They won't leave their house. They've quarantined themselves. They won't see family. Like they won't do anything. Instacart, won't go to work. The other 10% are like, this whole thing is fake. It's a big fake scam. It's a conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. And then there's the 80% of us in the middle that are just trying to live life every single day. Right? So as much as your point about it disappearing on November 4th, I would tell you this. I would just caution you with this. COVID is real and people are dying. And that's just that's just the fact. Like people, and all it takes, and I said this, I think I said it to Rico once. All it takes is one player. Pick a player. Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Drew Brees. One player contracting COVID and either dying from it, from playing the season, or being hurt to the point where their lungs being damaged to the point where they can never play football again. And then literally we have to sit here and ask ourselves, was it worth it?
Joseph says, BS, he needs to play. He's getting paid. Do your job. Look at people in the military. It's their jobs. They don't get millions and they're gone years.
Joseph, that's a valid point. And Sal Capaccio had the best answer I saw, because somebody put in there that they're a frontline worker and they don't get to opt out. And Sal's response was like, it was perfect because it didn't negate what the person said. It doesn't negate what you're saying. It changes the onus of responsibility. What you're saying is absolutely perfect, except for the fact that the owners negotiated and gave them the ability and the opportunity to opt out. That's the only reason that it makes it right. So that's what collective bargaining is. And unfortunately, that's the position we're in. The owners have given them the chance to opt out. The interesting thing about that 10%, so the 10% that I was talking about that are like, wear masks, like Instacart, don't leave the house, blah, 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 blah. You can pretty much just use statistics. 10% of the NFL players are those people. Like, they're not in the middle 80%. Like, 10% of the NFL players are scared to death right now that they might contract COVID and die. There's a large number of them that have sickle cell anemia, John Brown. Like, there's players out there that have genetic conditions, autoimmune conditions, and things like that they're high risk. Like, as excited as I am that things are like progressing and we're getting football, we're about to know some serious stuff in the next couple weeks, right? Like tomorrow, between now and the next 24 hours, is going to tell us a whole bunch. So that's what
Brian
I got.
says, after hearing Tre speak about his family and kids, I realized that he's not only an elite player, he's an elite dad. I applaud that man. I agree with you 100%, Brian. Watching him today, like Joe said, I was impressed on a whole different level. Like, I've always loved Tre.
Yep.
I've loved his energy on the field. I loved the camaraderie that he shows with other teammates. I love how he, goes back to LSU to show some love there during the season and everything. But seeing this today, it showed me a different side of Tre that makes me say, you know what, this guy is legit. Like, regardless if he ever plays football again, I'm proud of the man that he is, as if he was a family member of mine. I'm proud of him. Agreed. When your priorities are in place this way, where you will say, my family's more important than anything that anybody else may think first. Because that's what's happening when fans are saying, forget that, he should still play. To me, I just can't agree with that. I know there's so many different, I get it. There's several different perspectives, but when a person says individually that they don't feel comfortable or that they're opting out for something, I just think it's wrong for a fan or anybody outside looking in to say BS, they should play. Yeah. It's his personal decision as a man, just like going to the Army or any of the services would be your decision.
Yeah, for sure.
I just think it's irresponsible of us as fans to try and attack players for making a personal choice for their livelihood.
Yeah, Richard Bush just put a message. I want to get back to that in a second, but first I want to read Ryan Thiel's. I watch Formula One, and they go from country to country. No fans, barely any media, and they have some kind of bubble. NFL is much bigger to try and control their environment and their lives. I talked about this after speaking, I believe, to Matt Perino a couple weeks ago on my show, just about what's going on. The NFL, when they go to a city, the interesting thing is there's a little bit of a built-in bubble for the NFL because they get on the plane. They go to, so the Bills are going to go to Houston. They check into the hotel. They eat dinner at the hotel. They have team meetings at the hotel. Everything's at the hotel. They don't go out and party. They don't go out and do stuff. They go to sleep. They get up in the morning. They go to the stadium, play the game, press conferences, head right back to the airport, back home. The problem is this. The NFL, there's so many players. There's so many coaches. There's so many assistants. There's so many moving parts. The media that travels with them. It's literally like moving a small village. And the reality is, as much as the players are quarantined when they go to Houston, everybody else isn't. Like, everybody else can do pretty much whatever they want, which puts it in a little bit of a scary position. Now, where we need to be frightened is Major League Baseball. Those guys like fly on their own. They take their own planes. Like they go out before the games. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. But where's the Richard Bush? I think this is it. Tre knows being a dad is the most important job in the world. I wanted to touch on that because he used the phrase, and you said it too, twice in his interview, generational wealth. Mm-hmm. If something happens to Tre and he's the one that ends up with COVID, it damages his lungs, he can never play again. That generational wealth opportunity is gone. And whether you believe COVID is real or not, whether you feel that it's exacerbated or not, whether you feel that it's overblown or not, the reality is some people that get it are never the same again. If that's Tre, that generational wealth and setting his family up, that opportunity's gone. Like, gone. And that's...
Well, and that's the difference too. You got to realize, like, a lot of these guys, where they come from, and then everybody knows their stories. Like, everybody has typically a similar story that comes from less and ends up having more. Where he came from, he just doesn't want to see his family. He doesn't want to see his mother live that way anymore.
That's right.
He doesn't want to ever see his lady or his kids ever live the life that he grew up living. Not that he regrets his life, but when you are in a better situation, you just don't want to go back. So the thing is, I can't blame him for saying, no, you know what? My health is so important that this year, my family's health is so important that I might say, you know what? The money can wait for next season. I can't blame him. I just can't.
Yeah, for sure. I jumped the gun. Tommy Miller, you super chatted us, which is awesome. Do me a favor. I know the super chat thing can be tricky. Get me your question. If you get us your question, I'll read it. So thank you so much for the super chat. Let us follow up with a comment as far as just a regular comment, and then we'll find out what your question was. Joseph, my 6-year-old mother has COVID and she's a heavy smoker. She works at Walmart and she's a savage. That's awesome. But the facts are COVID will be gone in November. We just don't know. It could be. It very well could be. Maybe it's not. I just, we obviously can't predict that. So yeah, Spencer, getting some kind of reflection off your desk.
Oh, it's the windows here. It's the blinds.
It's the blinds. It's so funny. Yeah, it's funny because you can hear that kind of stuff, which is interesting. So, Chris Janke, I feel like the people saying "shut up and play" are a little jealous that players have an opinion or an option rather to sit out a year and get paid $150,000. Don't get me wrong, I don't make $150,000 a year. You and I together don't make $150,000 a year. But the reality is they're opting out of making $3 or $4 million to make 150. Now, Tre, clearly he said that his finances are fine. Like, I'm good. Like, I ain't got a problem with my finances. I'm good. But yeah, So what's truth to heart say?
I get not wanting to put your family at risk, but ain't it contradicting to opt out but not quarantining the moment you leave the house to put your family at risk, regardless of if you're a cornerback or cashier? That's very true. The thing is, we don't know what Tre has been doing this offseason. And it seems like he's been healthy this whole time. So based off of what he said today in his interview, it sounds like it's just been him and his family in the house. He's been spending time with his kids and his girlfriend. So
his old lady.
Again, you're right. You're absolutely right. If he opts out and then he decides just to go party and he gets the virus anyway, it's like, okay, come on, Tre. But if he's going to be responsible about this because he wants to protect his family, then no, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of this, Andrew Miller? Andrew, is this my brother? I got a brother named Andrew Miller.
He needs to get a picture up there.
Andrew, you're gonna have to do something about that avatar. Like, give us a picture of yourself, because I got a little brother named Andrew Miller. But if we lose Tre, we need to sign Logan Ryan. Give it to me, Jay Spence. What do you think?
Well, that was actually the first part of the option that I was going to say. He's obviously not Tre. Like, there's only one or two guys last year that was the two best cornerbacks in the league. But if you're trying to replace him if he doesn't play, and you're talking about not losing or not that much of a drop off, Logan Ryan is your best bet right now.
Right. This is a good point. That ain't it. Sorry, man. These things jump around and then you lose them. Vito says it's a $150,000 loan. They aren't making that really. That's true. So that number actually comes from their salary the year the next year. So,
yep.
Elliot Eisler says, I think that's what the process is. Team McBean will adjust accordingly at Andrew Miller. Dead on. Like, we see the work Bean did today, or whatever, in the last couple days with Diggs, like moving so much of his money up front to this year to make opportunity for us, like, in the next coming years, knowing that the cap is going to like come down $35 million. Brandon Bean is other world, y'all. Like, Brandon Bean is like other world. Like, it's crazy where this dude's head is at. He's smart. He's a smart old boy.
Listen, and I know everybody in Buffalo has a crush on Brandon Bean. But,
I do.
But I'm telling you, you probably should love him just a little bit more than you do. This guy is phenomenal. Like, there's honestly not many GMs in the league right now who really is doing the things that Brandon Bean is doing. Like,
do me a favor.
There just aren't.
Yeah, do me a favor, everybody watching. So if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook, smash that like. We like to say on Hump Day, dry hump that like. I see it at 7 right now. I don't know what it's at on all the platforms, but if you're looking at us, if you're hearing us, hit the like. Let us know. What it does is it climbs us up in the rankings. So when somebody types in Buffalo Bills, we show up higher and kind of gives us a little bit more of a platform. So smash that like. We got 104 people that I can see watching us right now. Chat us up. Talk to us. Let us know what's going on. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That's my boy, Jay Spence. You can find him on Twitter at Jay Spence the King. Appreciate you guys being with us tonight. And this is a great topic. I'm enjoying this conversation. What you got for me?
This one isn't as much of this one's not much of a debate. We're just having a conversation this week.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I cared when EJ opted out. EJ was, when he was healthy, was the man in this defense year one. Like, the first year McDermott was here, EJ Gaines was like dominant, and then he got hurt.
See, I didn't care because he's been hurt every year since. So you're right. That first year when we did get him here, and he played great. Like, I was actually disappointed when we lost him to Cleveland in free agency.
Yep.
So then when we got him back, it was like, all right, let's do this. But he got injured in Cleveland. Then he got injured here again. And it's like, so my thing was, obviously, if he's healthy, I love him. I love the guy anyway. But I mean, if he's healthy, I would love to have him on the team. It's just one of those things where it's like you go into the season and you use a roster spot on the guy that's going to get injured again in week 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's got the Fred Jackson is he made of glass. They need to come up with, maybe I need to write a song like, are you made of glass? Like, I probably need to come up with some sort of catchphrase, being the musician that I am. So yeah.
But yeah, so that's my only thing with EJ Gaines. But I like Gaines.
Do you live in this space? Read that one.
No, I don't live in that space. Truth to Heart says I could catch Brandon Beane sleeping with my girl, and he could tell me it wasn't him. And I don't love him that much, but I don't think Joe does either.
That's awesome.
I think Joe loves Beth a little bit more than he would love Brandon Beane.
Dude, I'm a lucky man. I out football reference. I outkick my coverage big time. Like, my wife is hot
every time.
My wife is smoking. Joshua Barrett, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate what you guys do. The interaction is amazing, no matter what, if here or Twitter. Yeah, it's the only reason to do this, in my opinion, is to interact with people. Like, I have no reason to be right. I have no reason to be arrogant and just say things for the world to hear. That's not the space I live in. Like, it's easy for me to admit I'm wrong, and I get told I'm wrong all the time. And if there's proof there, I'll be like, yep, I'm wrong. So I'm good with it. Like, the interaction to me is what this is about. So yeah, appreciate it.
Joe and I talk about it all the time. We do this because it's fun, and we do it because we really enjoy talking to everybody. So I can guarantee you, as busy as Joe is, I guarantee you on Wednesday nights he could use an hour and whatever to do other things. But we enjoy this. So this is, we really want the interaction. Like he said here, like Joshua said, hit us up on Twitter too. Like, we're responsive. Like, we will get back to you. Trust us.
Usually pretty immediately. And just so everybody kind of knows, so this isn't a Jay Spence and I got paired together because they wanted to make a show. Buffalo Fanatics wanted to make a show. Like, we're boys. Like we're friends. Yeah. Which is why this kind of works as well as it does. We just enjoy each other and enjoy each other's company, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and we're just, besties, if you will. So yeah.
Can somebody do me a favor and put in the comments what the Lakers score is, though? I would really appreciate that. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Scott Blakely says, in my opinion, they should delay the season until October 15th and assess from there. If still not under reasonable control and decline, cancel. I have no problem watching a Super Bowl late February.
Here's my problem with that.
I need the season to start. I need the season to start. I need the season to start.
I need the season to start, but here's my problem with it. And this is just like a realistic take now. Here's the thing. So the luxury that the NFL supposedly had was that this happened in March and the season wasn't supposed to start until September.
Right.
The NBA was in their season.
Right.
Major League Baseball was supposed to start, sooner than it did, but you get what I'm saying? Like, like the National Hockey League, same thing. So the NFL had months to sit back and say, okay, well, which league is doing it right? Which league is doing it wrong? How should we do it? Do we need to do a bubble? Do we need to, they had months to prepare. So now it's like the players a couple of weeks ago, everybody had the conscious tweet effort where they all tweeted together, we want to play, but the NFL doesn't want to protect us, or whatever it was that they tweeted at that point. That's my problem with this.
Hashtag we want to play. Hashtag we want to play.
Well, I mean, when you actually read the tweets, though, everybody's like, we want to play, but the NFL's not putting the proper. It's like, come on, you guys had months to figure this out. And now it's like, all right, no, we should push it back to October. No, you guys had all year.
Yeah.
You had damn near all year to do this.
Yeah. What do you think of this one? Year. What do you think of this one from Trek? If White opts out this year, would you consider trading any combination of Tyler Eifert, which he's gone, he can go now, Deion Dawkins, Trent Murphy, also gone, and a couple of draft picks to New England for Gilmore?
I tell you what,
that dude ain't coming back to Buffalo.
Like this, he's not coming back.
If
New England would trade him to us for some I don't care if it costs a first round pick. I will have Trey and Gilmore. If I could do that, hell yeah.
I don't think he'd come to Buffalo. I don't think he'd come to Buffalo. I don't think he'd come back. I think he'd be like, I'll retire.
Well, yeah, I do too. But I mean, but just
Gil-
think about that. If we could, oh my God, yes.
The Gilly Lock ain't coming to Buffalo again. It just ain't happening.
No, y'all ran him out of town, man. The fans,
I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
I'm glad you can admit it. Fans ran him out, man, and that it's so sad because we literally had the best cornerback on our team, and now we have the second best cornerback on our team.
Right.
I know you don't agree though. You still think he's second best, and Tre
he's second.
First.
He's second best.
Tre actually said the other day. He actually admitted publicly, and I get it. He's humble, but he admitted that Gilmore is like the top dog, and he's still learning. And it's okay, Bills fans, for us to like say that Gilmore is the best cornerback.
There's nothing about about Gilmore's game that tells me he's better than Tre White. When you watch Gilmore's game as a Bill or a Patriot, there's nothing about Gilmore's game that tells me he's better than Tre White. And the reality is Jerry Rice said Andre Reed was the number one wide receiver in football, the best wide receiver in football. So
I'm not gonna have that conversation with you.
I think that's what players do. No, my point is I think that's what players do.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Andre Reed is. I already got beat up for talking bad about Jim last week. I do not want to get beat up about Andre today.
No, I don't. They're in different air. I don't think anybody would yell at you for saying that Jerry Rice is better than Andre Reed. So yeah. What else we got here? I was trying to catch up, but it keeps jumping around on me on the chat. So I don't know what this is about. There you go. Talk some Lakers. Talk some Lakers. So.
Well, no, I didn't. I just wanted the score. Outside of AD and LeBron, Lakers look lost when Deion Waiters is. Well.
Oh! There it is.
Okay.
Dum dum dum.
Well, no, you know what? Is that my boy Shannon from M&T Bank? I think that's my boy Shannon from M&T Bank.
You better speak up, Shannon. We're about to send you a link.
That's my boy Shannon.
We're about to send you a link and get you on the show.
Yeah, if that is my man Shannon, shout out to Shannon. Shout out to M&T Bank. Shout out to David Femi, who when I was there was my regional manager, and all the other managers in the Buffalo Central. Buffalo Central, like we rep Central. That's it. But
this is a fun.
But no, let's talk. I was actually going to switch up so we can. But
this is a. If you don't forget where you're going to go. This is a fun point transition because we were talking about this in the BF chat. Gilmore is a Whaley guy, and we got rid of all those players, which is interesting because we were talking in the Buffalo Fanatics chat this week just about the best players will play as it pertains to Cody Ford. And you were high, and I didn't jump in, so I kind of left you to the dogs. But I agree with you. If Cody Ford, if the best players will play, then Ty and Secchi would have played all season last year up to the point where he got hurt. And Cody Ford probably would have moved to right tackle over John Feliciano.
Yeah.
The reality is the best players don't play. The Bills did purge all of Whaley's guys for the most part. And let's just be honest, I don't know why Corey Bojorquez is on this football team. And that graphic that came out yesterday basically proves Sal Capaccio blew me up on Twitter last year because I was hammering Bojorquez. And literally, I don't understand why that dude is on this football team. But the reality is football politics are still at play, and the best players don't always play.
That's absolutely right.
Unless you're going to redefine what the best player means. Is the best player mean the best player for the future or the best player for right now?
And see, I have a problem with that, which is what we talked about in the chat. Because my thing is, they're like, no, you keep developing Ford. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Let's keep developing him and still giving up, missed blocks on the right side. So we're going to have drive stop because we want to develop a guy? No.
Right. The good news is, and I don't know if you saw it, but there was a report right now. For those of you that don't know, the first 10 days in the ramp up period of training camp, the first 10 days are basically acclimation days. So essentially, what they're doing right now is some guys can throw the ball, some guys can run. They can run some drills. Nobody can touch. They can't play football. They can't do anything. It's primarily lifting and doing things, which is what happened to Mongo. John Feliciano probably hasn't bench pressed in 6 months and was like, throw 400 pounds on there, bro.
I got this.
And then tore a pectoral muscle. The report that came out to that point was that Cody Ford last year at the end of the season, I don't think he was able to bench like 205 or 225 because of what was going on with his shoulder. And I think he was throwing up like 365 or 350. So he's regained all that strength that he had lost. And let's be honest, it's kind of relevant, right? I mean,
it is. No, it is.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, I would love to be wrong. Like I'm telling you, I always, when I have a visual opinion on a player because of what I've seen, I would love for them to prove me wrong that next year. Like, I didn't want the Bills to draft Josh Allen when we drafted him.
Right.
I think a lot of Bills fans, if we're honest, will say that.
I wanted
Josh
Rosen.
has proved. You wanted Rosen?
I wanted Rosen.
I wanted Sam Darnold. I did. I wanted Darnold or Lamar Jackson.
That's well, no,
I did. I wanted either one of the two.
Yeah.
And you know, but he proved me wrong. So again, I would love for Cody Ford to prove me wrong. But I'll tell you what, me saying put him at right guard isn't a diss. Like, I think he could be a phenomenal right guard. A starting right guard in the NFL, there's only 32 of those. So it's not like I'm saying something negative about him.
I don't know who Elliott was responding to with that comment about the owners not caring about their players. They treat them like slaves. The players are owners at this point. Like, they receive a huge portion of the pie. Like, this is not 1985 anymore. Like, the NFL is worth billions upon billions, and the players have negotiated the point where, like, everybody knows that without the players, there's no NFL. So they're not really slaves anymore. Not to mention, when you take a guy like Pat Mahomes that gets a $500 million contract, I mean, we're literally 3-4 years away from players getting like team ownership in their contract. Hey, we're going to make you an owner. Like, we're 4 or 5 years away from that. It's going to be right down the road. It's going to start happening. It might not happen.
I feel like it was close. Like, I thought it was going to happen sooner. You remember when Peyton Manning was a free agent, and they were like, I think Tennessee offered him, like, I don't even know if it was ownership or like a guaranteed front office position or something. They were trying to swoon him with positions. But we'll read this one, and then there's a topic I want to ask you. So Feliciano got hurt before camp started. I wonder if we can put him on the pup. Yeah, there's
the Bills guys were talking about this because Steve Mathis said on the what's today, Wednesday, on the Monday night show, he just said that Feliciano's going to be gone till mid-season. And I was like, wait a minute, it's an 8-week injury, and we've got 5 weeks of preseason. Like, he's going to miss the first 3 games of the season. And Steve felt that they were going to put him on IR, designated to return, which would be halfway through the season. I don't know. I think it depends on this Winters guy, who, I'll be honest with you, I don't know nothing about this Winters kid. All I know is that Vlad Ducasse sucked balls. Like, that dude was the worst guard I've ever seen play football in a Buffalo Bills uniform, and they kept trucking the guy out there. So if that's what Winters is, no thanks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I watched the Jets. Well, everybody in our division, I watch every game. So I've watched him, and he's not good. I mean, so yeah, he hasn't given up like a sack. I'm just saying, it's because he holds all the time.
He's not good.
Like, he's just, I'm not even going to debate it. Like, people can, trust me. The thing that, as Bills fans, we would always say, oh, the Jets offensive line, that their offensive line play sucks. That's the truth. So the thing is, why all of a sudden would we be celebrating bringing over somebody from the offensive line that we're saying they suck?
For sure.
Thanks, Joshua.
Smash that like. Super chatters get priority. We're going to transition. Hump that like. We're going to transition. Jay Spence has a topic. I didn't type it in.
Well, no.
Tell me what the topic is, and I'll type.
Well, it's not a topic like that. It's more so. So you mentioned to everybody that if they hadn't listened to my show today, that they should. So my question is to you. So obviously, for those who know, I interviewed Isaiah McKenzie, Buffalo Bills wide receiver, today. My question is,
how is the dude? If there's a reason that you and I are not going to be friends, it's because you get these crazy interviews. Like, what the heck, bro?
I tried to get you on a couple of them. I'm just saying, you're always too busy. Joe is extremely busy, guys. I'm just letting you know. But so I interviewed Isaiah McKenzie, and he had a lot to say about Coach McDermott, Josh. I'm curious on your opinion as to what he said about. He was very candid, and he spoke about the possibility of himself, other guys that normally that we would look at and they're going to make the team, guys that might not make the team this year. And he was very honest about it, and he spoke freely. So I kind of just want your feet, or, give me your opinion on what we talked about.
There was just the humility in his voice. I think he's just got a great grasp. I don't know if I'm close enough to the microphone. He's just got a great grasp, in my opinion, on just the reality of the situation. I think he's a man that knows that, not that the writing's on the wall, but that there's just I'm going to have to do extra Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to really bring it, because I don't remember who was talking about it. It might have been, again, the Bills guys were talking about it on Monday, that, that there's guys on this team, wide receivers on this team, that are legitimate trade bait right now. Like guys that aren't going to make this football team, that the Bills are either going to cut or they're going to try to trade. And I think Steve Mathis is calling for Robert Foster to get traded to, I think, to Denver. I can't remember the team that he said that they would get traded to, that he would get traded to. I think Isaiah, and I remember like you and I had a conversation about Isaiah in that interview, and like me asking you, or kind of pressuring you to kind of like go deep with him, right? Like ask him hard questions and just kind of see where he goes. And the fact that he responded to them and didn't get mad and hang up on you, to me, speaks volumes just for the character of the man. I thought his responses were super humble. Like I thought he had a grasp on reality. I mean, what was your, now that it's over and you've re-listened to it, what was your takeaway?
Well, so that's the weird thing. So for everybody who doesn't know, the interview was actually recorded in early June. So
Yes.
it's like 2 months later, and I listened while we were talking, but I didn't go back and edit it. Nothing. I waited till yesterday to edit it, and I listened to it fresh today or last night. And man, I tell you, I'm rooting for him now. Like,
Me too.
Not that I wasn't before, but like you said, just the awareness of where he is, how hard he has to work, and then the mind to want to work. Like one of the things that he said was, I wanted to be in Buffalo, even though I knew they were trying to bring in Stefan. Like I knew they were trying to bring in other guys with amazing talent, because I knew it was going to push me to be the best version of myself. And if I do get cut or traded, I know I can go somewhere else and ball out.
I think
when he said, it was like, dude, man, you're making Buffalo kind of, just because I fell in love that quick. Like, it's like,
I have so many points on what you just said as it pertains to his responses, and like the whole best version of myself. The fact that Tre said it today as well, which is a direct derivative from Sean McDermott. And for those of you that have listened to my podcast, I'm a leadership guy. I love leadership. I'm a student of leadership, and true leadership is about me as your leader making you the best version of yourself, not so that it benefits me, so that you can truly find fulfillment in who it is that you're supposed to be, whether it's here or whether it's someplace else. And all of these guys chirp that. They're all bought in that McDermott and this organization wants to make them the best versions of themselves. And what happens is guys take one of two stances, and Isaiah takes the opposite stance. Normally it's well, if you don't want me, then I don't want you, and F you, I'm out of here, I'm better than you anyway. Isaiah's taking the stance of, if I can make this team, I'm a part of something special. I'm a part of something special. And he sees it. It's like, it's right in front of him, and he sees it. Like, it's a beautiful picture. Like, culture is a real thing. Whatever they tell you on WGR 55, culture is a real thing.
It's absolutely real.
It's a real
and you
thing.
could hear it. So I've interviewed now Isaiah McKenzie, and then I've
bragging.
interviewed
Look at him bragging.
No, it's not. It's not about bragging. It's more so. I'll drop this now, so week 1 of the season, I'm going to have Lorenzo Alexander on the show, and in that interview, he basically kind of said the same thing. He talked about how he was brought in to help change the culture, but he's saying, like, now with all the guys that are coming in. So like last year when John Brown and Beasley got there, they wanted to be there because he said, like, they felt like, oh, this is the place that we're supposed to be. As opposed to before, where it's like, a lot of times I used to hear that people would look at Buffalo as, you're coming here for the end of your career, basically. Like, you're coming here to lose. You're not coming here to win. Right. So now you have guys coming here like, no, this is the spot you're coming to win. Like, I want to be here because I know I have a shot. Man, I'm excited.
Yeah, coming here to win as opposed to coming here to get your last $4 million. Right?
Yeah. If McKenzie could hold on to the ball on punts and kickoffs, he could make Andre Roberts expendable. I don't quite agree with that. And if you, I'm sure if you listen to the interview, I think he would not agree with that as well. The respect and admiration that he has for Andre Roberts. First of all, Andre Roberts was a Pro Bowler for a reason. He's not just another guy back there returning kicks. Andre Roberts is something special. He might not be like the top wide receiver on our team, but you throw him back there to return punts or kickoffs, he can run that thing back at any time. As long as guys on the team are doing their job, go for it.
The funny part about it is you watch a Buffalo Bills football game and you watch Corey Bojorquez kick a football, like punt from 4th and whatever, and he shanks it off his foot and it like goes out of bounds. And then whoever they're playing goes to punt and they kick the ball out of bounds. That's not because both like punters do that.
Right. So different. It's so different.
Corey Bojorquez is shanking the football, and the other punter is kicking away from Andre Roberts. Like
they don't want him to catch it at all. So it's a big difference when we're talking about who you have back there.
Bills Mafia, that's the biggest mic drop moment I'll ever have for you. Like, that's the difference between Corey Bojorquez and everybody else in the NFL. Like, he's shanking the football. Everybody else is kicking away from Andre Roberts. It's not the same thing.
But I'm going to tell you, when they don't kick away from him and he catches the ball, you do not want, if you're on the other team, you do not want Andre Roberts to catch that ball and try to run that back.
I want to answer this question. Cody Finney asked, Super Chat, thank you for the Super Chat, bro. Everybody, Super Chat gets priority. And the reality is Spence and I split this money. So we don't like to talk about the money because it's kind of icky and gooey. It does get our attention because it comes up super highlighted so we can see it. But the Super Chats are super thankful. Like, this is a hobby for us. So this is the type of stuff that goes a long way. So Cody, thank you for the Super Chat. Does any other Buffalo Bill opt out before the deadline or no? And does anyone else from the AFC East opt out? Or no, go bold. Also, great show so far. I can't make predictions, but I can go back to what I said about 20 minutes ago, Cody, if you were with us, when I said that 10%, if you just look at statistics, and I'm a marketing guy, so like statistics is one of my favorite classes. If you look at the median and you look at just statistics in a whole, 10% of these players in the NFL are scared to death, like are literally in a situation where they're nervous. Like, so they might be in camp. And Tre said something really super profound to me. I'm only here to see what this is about. Like I'm here, I'm giving them the respect to at least show up and see if they're going to protect me. And if they've got their ducks in a row, or if it's like, no, this is a bad idea. So like, I think between now and 4:00, I think there's a bunch. Like there's a lot of predictions out there even right now on Twitter that like there's a slew of guys that are about to opt out of the season before 4:00 tomorrow. So I think I can't name names, but I think there's going to be a bunch. So
yeah, and again, when I heard Tre speak, I heard it a little differently than you. So I mean, it's all up for interpretation. That's what we're doing on the show. But I think Tre plays. Honestly, I think at this point, our team is there. The team that has showed up, I think those guys are intending to try and make the team and play. So I personally don't think we have any more. If they showed up at One Bills Drive, I think that they're there.
Yeah. No, it's funny because to me, my literal, the way that I deciphered it, the way that I read it was what you just said. Like, wait a minute, they're there. Like they're there practicing. They don't have to be there. So like, if their immediate thought is, well, I'm just going to opt out and take the easy road, then they would have like tapped the button and like, oh, I'm opt out. But no, they're showing up, they're working out, they're seeing the guys, they're around the team, they're putting themselves at risk, albeit a small risk. So my thought was like, well, if they're there, they're going to play. And then he said, I'm only here to see what this is all about. And I was like, oh.
Well, they also have,
okay.
I'm sure they are prepped prior to speaking to the media. And so the thing is as well, and I know Tre was speaking from the heart, but I'm sure for him it was strategic in exactly what he said, because he knows that the media was going to run away with this. So far, other than like Matt Stafford, he's like the biggest name that is connected to COVID right now. He's the biggest name that might, so for that, I don't know. I just don't see it. But like I said, your point that you made earlier, as far as family and the way you spoke so well about being a father and a family person, it makes sense.
Yep. This is all you, Tommy Miller, another long lost relative of mine, Tommy Miller.
Tyler Bass.
Who do you think will be? I didn't ask the question yet. Who do you think will be our kicker? Tyler Bass.
Tyler Bass will be the kicker. I think Hauschka. I love Hauschka. I love his wife. I love his. Those guys are great. But last year, the team was actively looking while he was on the roster. Like they tried to pick somebody up, I think in like week 14 or something like that off the waivers.
Yep.
And Yeah, I think it's time. The writing is on the wall. So
I think the Bills are going to be big winners or big losers on the fact that there's no preseason as it pertains to Tyler Bass. If they go with Tyler Bass and this kid sucks arse, like when the season starts, they've got egg on their face big time. Like if this kid can't put it between the uprights, or they go the safe route and stick with Hausch. I can't answer that question. I think Tyler Bass has far more potential. They drafted him. That's a big deal. I do believe Vedvik takes the spot over Bajorquez, and if he doesn't, then Bajorquez has something on the Pagulas. I'm just saying. But I think
he was
Vedvik
injured too. It could be so. I think it would be an actual competition. Like I don't think they're just going to give it to Vedvik. Now I think he should win it. But remember when I was on your show, I said they love Corey Bajorquez. I just think
they do.
He's going to make the team. So what I'm saying is if he was like really injured last year and then he shows up in whatever competition that they're able to have. Right now, when we can't see it, if he outplays him, of course, let's keep him. But no, I'm with you. I think we need to change both the kicker and the punter.
Zach Allen asks, "What if key players on KC and Baltimore opt out? If we keep our players, then Super Bowl chances increase." I don't want to think of it that way. I don't want an asterisk next to Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champions for the first time in 2020. Like I want to beat the man, right?
I just don't think we will though. Like, and I know we talk about it every time you're in something about it, but like think back to the lockout season for the NBA. I think it was like 98, 99 when the Spurs won. It was a shortened season. Nobody ever talks about that San Antonio Spurs team as being like not legitimate champions. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And not even just with that. Like I can probably, if I did some research, I'm sure I could find situations where there was either a shortened season or like, you know, I'm sure we can find it. I just don't think that it will really be delegitimized.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to I'm going to come back to Cody. Look who's in the house. Buffalo
Bobby
Fanatics
Ray.
Co-founder Bobby Ray in the house on Hump Day. Can you make Cody? I love this. Thank you for the super chat. Since y'all split, got to send another $5. More than likely more. What does that mean? Toss me that wrench. Also, if y'all don't like our punter, would either of you oppose to signing? Who's destroying? I would love him on our team.
I don't know who destroying is.
Are you talking about the dude from Buffalo? Is that who you're talking about? What's his name? The dude that's always putting stuff out. Like, there's a dude from Buffalo.
Didn't he get signed? I thought he got picked up. Not by the NFL. I feel like it was by a different league. So I'm sure he would come. Yeah. I mean, from his highlight, from the videos he posts, he looks great. But obviously, I haven't seen him in a game situation. What about
listen, wait, I gotta admit something. So last year, Corey Bajorquez, I was all over him last year. So if you go back and like get into podcasts and research Overreaction Sports Pod, you'll find me before I was on Fanatics, and I was hammering Corey, and I was literally that dude that I can't remember his name that you're talking about that's from Buffalo. I was literally like retweeting his stuff and tagging the Buffalo Bills in it. Like, hello, this is the guy.
My guy, Mike Miller. No, not Mike Miller. You see, everybody has the last name Miller today. My guy, Mike Moore, he does that now with anything Buffalo Bills related. He tags Kim Pagula. Like, it's the funniest thing in the world. Funny. Like, he just, but Salad, you weren't going to read that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Where was it? I missed it.
It was Bobby. We can read Andrews because that's the guy I was about to ask you about.
Yep.
What about King? How would you feel about signing King?
I don't understand what's going on with it. Why does this dude not have a job?
Well, he had the job in the
Raiders.
But then I don't know if it was the XFL or the other league, but he played in one of those leagues.
Well, no, he held out or something, right? Because he wanted a crap ton of money, and basically they're like, punters aren't worth that much money. Like the Raiders said that, and now the dude is unemployed. Like, what's going on there? Like, why does this dude not have a job? Like, I don't understand.
I would gladly sign him in Buffalo.
Heck yeah. What is this? Here we go. Destroying is also a free. Who is this person?
Can y'all tell us if we're right. Like, is that the guy from Buffalo? We need to know.
Like everybody's talking about. Apparently, this is the only dude that you and I don't know who it is.
Yeah, because apparently he's a freak athlete. He can throw the ball. Could you imagine running fakes? Okay.
He's the greatest Wildcat quarterback ever to play football. YouTube him.
He's the greatest person that doesn't have a job in the NFL.
After this show, I will YouTube the destroying punter. So just so you guys know. Do I need to say that in an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent? The destroying punter. Yeah, I'm going to Google him. So
You do that way too well. You practice that too much.
I'm old. I literally grew up in the like Steven
Oh
Seagal and
man,
Arnold Schwarzenegger days. Like I've seen more Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in the theater than just about anybody else has. So that's so
that's
funny.
too funny.
Dude has a hang time. Who are we talking about here? Is this
Same guy.
same guy? The Destroyer? Get to the chopper.
But you know what? The same thing with Bass though. I like Tyler Bass. Like a ton. A ton.
Yeah. How can you like a guy you've never seen play football at the NFL level? Okay, Steve Mathis.
No. Now kicking doesn't matter. Like talent that's against you doesn't matter about kicking. If you can kick a ball 50 yards, you can kick a ball 50 yards. Like
Except for the fact that a 360-pound guy is diving at your legs. I mean,
no, if you have an offensive line that's blocking properly in the NFL or in college, those guys won't make it to you. So what I'm saying is, no, if the guy can kick and he has people blocking, he can kick.
yeah, it's true.
I hate seeing these comments. Like I absolutely hate seeing these culture comments where people don't fit. You don't even know Marquette King, but you're saying he doesn't fit.
I have no idea.
And he's saying that because he's a very animated guy, and you know, to be honest, I can't say he's like nice he's not as good as a person. I don't know his personality, but he brings the same energy like Tre. Like he's just the fun guy. He's on the field. He's dancing. When he has a kick that's awesome, he's like, you know, remember when the ref one time, I think he was against us, to be honest, like the ref threw a flag and he picked the flag up and threw it back at the ref. Yeah. He's just a fun guy. So as far as culture, and also Brandon Beane has made it clear, he doesn't want like these goody two shoes kind of guys. Just because he wants a culture that's good doesn't mean he wants like, you know, these super like straight to the book kind of guys. He just wants some guys that aren't going to do a ton of stupid stuff off the field.
Right. So Big Brother is watching. Just destroying, played college football, but got kicked out because of his YouTube channel. And this is from the Buffalo Fanatics. So this is not Spencer I don't know who's driving. Like, I don't know who's in charge of the handle. So it might be Bobby, could be Pierre. I don't know who it is. He's gotten really famous and was signed and cut from the Argos in the CFL. He looks good, but not NFL level, what people think. So I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, next week or even after this, when I go look at it, if you guys hit me on Twitter, I'll respond because I'll look at them. But right now, I haven't seen them.
Ryan, you have to expound upon that, bro. I'm more worried about our quarterback. What are you worried about?
That's actually one of the least of my worries this season. Like, we don't have to worry about the quarterback position.
Right. I mean, it's he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to take another big step with the talent that Beane has put around him, and we're going to know by the end of the season what we've got, or he's not, and we're going to know at the end of the year what we've got. Like, there's only two ways this is going to go. It's at the point where, like, yeah, Josh Allen is this is the season. Don't get me wrong. This is the season of Josh Allen. However, I'm not worried about that part of the season. So look at this. Here we go. Rico would love you, or Pierre would love you. Where's Pierre? Pierre would love you.
MVP time. MVP.
I'll take this bet. I love Josh Allen, but I'm taking that bet. What odds are you giving me?
I'm not betting. I'm not betting.
So coming up on my show next week. So today's Wednesday, Monday. I have Bruce Nolan from Bruce Exclusive, Buffalo Rumblings on my show, and we literally talk. We break down athletic quarterbacks, and I'm literally to the point now, just to tease you guys a little bit, where I'm done almost calling them athletic quarterbacks, because that was a moniker that was given to quarterbacks like Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham, even J.P. Lossman, guys that came into the league, ran option stuff, were very athletic, and could run. The reality is the days of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees are pretty much gone. Those guys, I mean, yes, Joe Burrow has entered the league, but now Joe Burrow is the one versus the 5 new guys that are athletic quarterbacks, where it used to be 5 pocket passers and 1 athletic quarterback.
Yep.
We're gonna break that down, and I don't want to give it away, but Monday on my show, the Overreaction Pod, on the Buffalo Fanatics Network, me and Bruce Nolan are gonna talk about that. It's a riveting interview. I felt like I was drinking out of a fire hose. There was one point in the interview I was like, I need a towel. Like I need a towel because I'm so like you have just turned on the fire hose and I can't even breathe anymore. Like the amount of information that dude dropped on me was awesome. Like it was a fun
Bruce knows his stuff, man. He's legit.
Yeah, he is for sure. Joe's a bust though. We'll see. He couldn't beat Dwayne Haskins, and I'll be honest with you, the time I just moved back to Buffalo from Columbus, Ohio, there was nothing about Dwayne Haskins' game that ever said to me NFL, and he got drafted in the first round. So, and he couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins. So, Ryan with the super chat. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. Ring that bell. Look up Mitch Trubisky and Josh Allen stats first 2 years, but yet one gets praised and the next great Allen, and the other is getting benched. Yeah, they're not really. Stats only matter until they don't. You've heard me say that 100 times. Stats only matter until they don't. Their careers are not the same. And we actually, again, and I hate to be taking over the show, Bruce and I touch on that as well, because he did a very big breakdown between the differences between Mitch and Josh and Blake Bortles and Josh, and they are not the same. As much as you look at stats and you're like, oh, these quarterbacks are the same. They're not. They have two different stories being written completely, and it's based upon the types of throws they're making and the offenses that they're running. So Josh Allen, I can simplify it for Ryan for you this way. Mitch Trubisky and Blake Bortles basically tiptoed into the shallow end, the kiddie pool, offensively, as far as the coordinators they have. Brian Daboll has taken Josh Allen and just chucked him into the deep end. Like, go swim. And like Brian Daboll is known, that's not new for Brian Daboll. Like that's something that Brian Daboll has done in his career. Just taking his quarterback and being like, oh, there you go swim. Mitch Trubisky and Bortles, when they got real offensive coordinators, then that they couldn't keep up. Whereas Josh is actually treading water, which is the promising part of the conversation. So again, Monday, if you're not doing anything or you're get a cup of coffee, you can listen. So what's next? What do you have anything? No, this is you, bro. I got a crush too.
How about Kay Adams rocking the Bill shirt this morning? Good morning, football loves Buffalo, the only team in New York. Now they're loving them now. They didn't always love them. So
Kay. Since Josh has come into the league, Kay has kind of been on that Bills bandwagon, and so is Kyle. The other two have come around. Nate's come around as has
right.
Schrags.
They've come around, but I'm saying like we haven't gotten that love.
But Kay has been all about Josh. So, but you've got a thing for Kay.
Actually, so Kay has been replaced in my life. So Joy Taylor she reigns supreme.
I'm gonna tag Kay.
I'll tag her. She's it's her fault. She didn't call me back, man. It's her fault.
She's gonna be heartbroken.
When we talked that one time and I tagged you with it and she laughed, but hey, you got to call me back. I can't keep doing this.
Buffalo Fanatics, whoever's driving this ship, stats only matter until they don't. If you go by stats, then Jay Cutler is better than Troy Aikman. Stats only matter.
The thing is, too, when you watch those stats, and it's just tough because in debates, you really don't have the time to really fully have a true debate. True. But the thing is, like, when you watch the game, like, I get the stats matter. So let's just say stats matter. How you get the stats matter. So kind of like what you were just saying there with the difference of, so the Chicago Bears have had an NFL caliber offense since Mr. Trubisky got drafted. He had receivers on his team that he could throw to. Sure. Josh Allen mirrored his stats that first season, throwing to Kelvin Benjamin, Zay Jones.
Which quarterback did you talk about?
Mr. Trubisky.
So did Bortles. Bortles had Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is
so
a
then
legit,
I'm saying now you got right.
Yeah.
So it's like you got Josh and you're throwing to. Guys don't even remember the roster that we had. Like, do you guys remember Andre Holmes?
Josh Allen may have been. You and I may have been his receivers.
Yeah, and Josh, so he matched those stats with less talent around him. So the thing is, like, yeah, I hate when the stat argument comes up about Josh because it's like, well, he threw so many interceptions. Yeah, because he was trying to force the ball into guys who weren't good, and he made bad decisions too. But I'm saying, like, with Josh, you can't look at the stats and compare him to Mr. Trubisky and say they're the same. No. Mr. Trubisky, if you put Josh Allen on that team with those receivers his rookie year, at this point now, I think he's way further than he is now because he would have obviously had better stats. He would have developed a little bit better too because he would have been succeeding. So you just can't really compare the stats that way.
I disagree. Is it? I can't pronounce your name. Zay was good that year though. No cap. Zay dropped the ball at a 50% drop rate. He had 100 targets, caught 51 balls or 52 balls. That is not good. I don't care what Zay's dad thinks of Zay. That is not good. Like, that's not good. No bueno.
No, and you know Spanish. Me, I never. I'm one of those guys that's like no Zay slander around me at all. But he wasn't good. I'm sorry.
That's true. Yeah, I like Zay. That whole reverse thing that he does, where like I don't know what he does, like that voodoo magic thing when he jumps up in the air.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stands back up in the air. It's like, what in the world? So we got about 5 minutes left. If you got a super chat, if you got something you want to talk to us about, get it in there. We've had a great conversation just in regards to just Tre potentially opting out. I'm of the opinion that Tre is going to opt out. Jay Spence is of the opinion he's not. There's some fun conversation out there that I've seen. I think you've seen it too, that Tre's just being Tre, just being silly and being comedic, and he's just basically rope-a-doping people with the whole talk. I don't think so. I think that the amount of heart that I saw in the man today tells me a different story. We did talk. We started the show early with just what the Bills defense is going to look like without Tre'Davious White. You had some good stuff as far as just when you turned the ship to Isaiah McKenzie. For those of you that have not listened to the Code of Conduct podcast, you need to. At the very least for that Isaiah McKenzie. And I love that you put it at the end. I love that you didn't put it at the beginning. You put it at the end, so people had to get through the whole show, which was good. That was a great interview. The man, Jay Spence, asked him some tough questions. He didn't lob him softballs. He didn't ask him, what was it like when you caught the football from Josh Allen the first time?
Well, no, I started the show off telling him on 2 of my projections that I did, I had him cut.
Right.
I literally started the show telling him hey, I've done 5 projections. You made the team on 3 of them.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? What do you think? And he's like, hey man, it's part of, we all know it in the locker room. We know that, if we could keep all these guys, we would, but we can't. It's the reality of the situation. So it was a fun conversation.
Outside of age, and the reality is that Stephon Diggs has been in the league 6 years. Beasley's 30, right? John Brown's 30 or 31. Outside of age, this is an elite NFL wide receiver locker room right now. There's some big boys in that room right now. There's some big boys in that room.
As a full unit, would you put us top 5?
I would, but there's Homer goggles, right? I mean, to me, John Brown John Brown has been a deep threat his whole entire career, and John Brown has been a number 2 his whole life. And then last year, he showed that he can be a number 1 route running, beat the defense guy, which is something he has not shown any place he has been. In my opinion, moving on to Cole Beasley. You can't argue this is where stats don't lie. He led the league last year in most yards of separation for any wide receiver in the NFL. The dude's open. They used to call Chris Hogan 7-Eleven. Stevie Johnson nicknamed him that. Cole Beasley's 7-Eleven. That dude's open all the time. And now you're gonna put Stephon Diggs in there, who is probably, people have said, I'm not one to judge, I don't know, but they say that he's the best route runner in football. And somebody's gonna argue with me that they're not top 5? Who do you put in front of him? Who do you put in front of Beasley, Brown, and Diggs? Who?
I don't. I was asking just to see what your thoughts were.
Outside of the only reason you could say that they're not top 5 is because Josh Allen is the quarterback and they're not going to throw the ball 40 times a game. That's the only reason. But there's also rumors out there that they're going to be air raid offense this year, that they're going to chuck the ball all over the football field.
I don't see how you think that not you personally, but I don't see how anybody would think that they would bring in Stephon Diggs and not ramp it up throwing. I just don't understand.
Yeah. Ryan, good night, bro. Good to have you on. So Ryan is a super chat member. Appreciate you, bro. Have a good night. Ryan is going to bed.
and you made it on time. Did you on the chat there? Did you see if that was Shannon from M&T or was that somebody else? Did he respond?
I have no idea. I haven't really been keeping up with it. So
I'll text him when I get off.
This is a good comparison. Cowboys got Cooper Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. Other than the fact that CeeDee Lamb is a rookie, but the reality is rookie wide receivers generally make noise in the NFL.
Yeah.
So.
I think the Cowboys have a good receiver. I think Tampa Bay has a good receiving core.
Y'all being silly.
Yeah, y'all tired. That's what that is now. It's time to go.
You need to go to bed. Not with Ryan, but you need to go to bed too. So, yeah, we're going to be logging off here in about 1 minute. I probably need to do some house cleaning. I'm just trying to read through here, see if I missed anything good. Just some Zay talk. Trey will stay. I love that. What's your stance on Milano? This is a good Andrew Miller, my brother back in the house. What's your stance on Milano? I think he misses too many tackles to be top tier. The dude's going to get paid.
He's
first of all,
getting paid.
The dude's getting paid. Now, whether or not he's a system guy, I can't answer you on that. The defense, we're on record as saying, both of us, this defense looks totally different without Matt Milano in it. I would tell you, last week's show, we talked at length about the fact that it's easier to replace an outside linebacker in the last 5 picks of the draft than it is to replace a left tackle in the last 5 picks of the draft. So if I had to guess, Deion Dawkins is staying, and if it's a money issue, Matt Milano's probably going. It just is what it is. Dude, Richard Rush, great show, love from Ohio. Bro, I lived in Groveport, Ohio, southeast corridor of Ohio,
Nice.
of Columbus for 13 years. So I got me some. My wife graduated from OSU, and my 2 daughters were born at OSU Hospital. So go Bucks. I'm not a Buccaneer.
Nice.
I'm not a Buckeyes fan, but go Bucks. So yeah. It's 10 o'clock. Do you want to kill this thing? 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's 7 o'clock where you are.
Yeah. Well, I know you're tired.
I'm not feeling it yet, dude. I woke up this morning. So I woke up this morning. I was in no big rush to get to work. It was a normal kind of lackadaisical normal morning. Get out to the truck, hit the key, nothing. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I got a Tundra. I've had it for 6 or 7 years. Like, the battery's 175,000 miles. The thing is bulletproof, not an ounce of rust in it. Like, runs like a champ. Pop the hood, and I do some mechanical work, and like I go to like the positive connector is totally filled with acid, just covered in acid.
Wow.
So like I scrape it all off, and I go to I grab a pair of pliers and I go to like take the connector off, and it like breaks off in my hand. Not breaks off like hard, like literally just went like it just like
right.
popped
Just
out.
snaps.
The whole eaten completely away, like the connector to the positive to the positive pole completely gone. So yeah, my day started with me having my neighbor take me to AutoZone so that I could get a new battery and a new connector. I changed it in about 45 minutes, then finally got to work. So it's been a fun day. So yeah, I digress from there. So do you want to close the show? You want me to close the show? We probably need to talk about bffanshop.com. If you're looking for Buffalo Fanatics gear, go to bffanshop.com, log in. Whatever you put in your cart, put in the code Hump Day, HUMPDAY. You can also put in overreact, or is it code, or is it code of conduct?
I feel like it's conduct or code of conduct.
It might be
just
conduct.
Put in Joe's right now. It's fine.
Hump Day. Put in Hump Day. So
put in Hump Day.
Pick up some Buffalo Fanatics apparel. My name is Joe Miller. I am the host of the Overreaction Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. My man, Jay Spence.
It's Jay Spence the King. You can find me at Jay Spence the King on Twitter and Instagram. My show is The Code of Conduct. It comes out weekly on Wednesdays. If you haven't listened today, please go check it out. I had a great interview with Isaiah McKenzie and a great interview with a beat report from the Carolina Panthers, Antoine Staley, who had some interesting things to say regarding Josh Allen and Cam Newton comparisons.
Cody Finney, I'm 47, bro. It's past my bedtime.
I got to eat. I got off from work and jumped right on, man. I was annoyed and jumped right on after work.
Big brother saying join Flick Chat. So yeah.
Yeah, we have some good talks in the Flick Chat.
So like for those of you that don't know, if there's anybody on here that was on the original Buffalo Bills message board on the actual BuffaloBills.com website, I'm Direct Effects. So I was on that Buffalo Bills message board for like 13 years, and my handle was Direct Effects. So I was there with like Robin Mundy, YO, like Buddha was there. Like there's a ton of us that like old school guys that are now on Twitter. But they're doing the Flick Check thing is sweet. It's all Bills talk all the time, no politics, nothing like to sidetrack you. It's just really, really, really great conversation. So
and you get your breaking news like literally, like when it happens, you get the breaking news in that chat.
All right, y'all. That is all that we got for you tonight. What a great show. That was a lot of fun. So before we go, or before you hang up, smash that like. We're down to about 52 people, so a bunch of people logged off. So I think 10 o'clock is about that time where people are like, I've had enough.
Like, all right, I'm done.
That or some rerun is on cable that they want to watch. One of the two. So appreciate you guys. Love you. Mad love for you. We'll see you. You'll hear from me Monday. You'll hear from Jay Spence on Wednesday, and then we'll be back next week. Hump Day Hotline. And tomorrow, 4 o'clock tomorrow, we will know I think the opt-outs are going to come in hot and heavy. I could be wrong, but I think the
You want to
opt-outs
bet
are gonna
$5
wait, on Tre or on that there's going to
on
be a
Tre?
bunch? I'll take that bet. $5.
All right, I bet you $5. Tre is opting in.
You're on. So everybody hears it. Jay Spence, Tre staying. I'm $5. Tre's going. So with that, love y'all. We'll talk to y'all next week.